According to the charges, J.B. Blades was controlling and abusive toward his ex-wife. As he fixed up valuable things on the hit show Repair Shop, Jay Blades became a well-liked character known for his skill and kindness. Fans respected his skill and the care he put into every repair, which made the show a comforting look at care and craftsmanship. But something very important was going on behind the scenes. Something so important that Anderson Cooper wrote about it. This terrible tragedy was the end of J.B. Blades' career, which was a shock and a disaster. The Repair Shop's heart. Since it premiered in 2017, The Repair Shop has quickly become a staple of British TV for shows that make people feel better. Unlike many other shows, this one had a simple idea that people liked. The idea is easy to understand. People bring in their most treasured family treasures, which are often old and worn out. A team of skilled craftspeople then work their magic on these items to make them look like new again. What could be more moving than seeing a piece of history that holds memories and stories come to life? Jay Blades was the leader of this group. His job wasn't just to fix things. He became one of the most well-known and loved faces on the show. Jay not only brought his skill but also a real warmth and openness that made the show feel like going to the workshop of a trusted friend. The way he fixed up wood and the way he treated people with kindness and encouragement helped turn broken or forgotten things into gems again. People saw him as someone who really cared about neither the work nor the stories behind the things he showed. The Repair Shop was unique because it did more than just fix old things. It was about getting together. A lot of the time, the things that were fixed were sentimentally valuable. Old wedding dresses, toys from childhood, and letters from loved ones who have died. It was important that the team paid close attention to every detail, but it was also important that they understood how important these things were to the people who brought them in. A lot of people watched the show because they missed the good old days, respected skill, and thought family history was important. Jay's part fits in nicely with that setting. He was more than just a good fixer. He was a friendly person who made everyone feel at ease and understood. Many owners who were worried about giving their valuable items to strangers felt better when they saw his friendly smile and calm confidence. Over time, Jay's story became interesting to watch on the show. People who watched knew a little about his past, his journey, and his desire to help others. He was more than just a skilled worker. It was easy to relate to and look up to him. A lot of fans saw the Repair Shop as a place of healing and hope. People were reminded of how important it is to keep the past alive and tell stories that are worth telling. The show stood out in a crowded TV environment thanks to its slow pace and honest feelings. It turned into a family tradition that they did every weekend, a peaceful time of happiness and reflection. But sometimes, even in the most popular shows, the biggest stars can hide dark parts. People only saw Jay's happy face and skilled hands on the screen. What was going on behind the scenes was mostly hidden. The show painted a picture of perfection that wasn't quite true. Challenges and changes were happening in the background, and they would soon have an effect on the whole program and Jay's job that would last a lifetime. For many years, Jay had been the show's heart and soul. Fans were confused and worried when rumors started to spread that he wasn't there. Anybody could tell that something was wrong, but no one knew how bad it would get. People had come to expect kindness and trust, but now it felt weak. But first, it's important to know how much Jay and the rest of the team have accomplished over the years. The next chapter will talk about the best parts of the Repair Shop, the times that people will never forget, and why Jay's part was so important to its success. Expertly done repairs. You can do more than fix things on the Repair Shop. The stories, moments, and changes that were shown moved people's hearts. Over time, it became clear why this show had such a huge fan base and why Jay Blades' role was so important. The emotional weight behind each repair was one of the main reasons why people really connected with the show. A lot of the things that were brought in were not just old things. They were loved ones' gifts, reminders of happy times, and signs of priceless memories. People gave the team things like their grandfather's worn-out toolbox, their mother's wedding dress, or an old photo frame that held generations of memories. A lot of these episodes show how skilled Jay is. He was especially good at fixing up things made of wood. Jay took his time and care with every job, whether it was fixing a broken chair or repainting the family table. But fans liked more than just the technical skill. That's how he was. Jay could make people feel at ease and hopeful, even when their most valuable things looked like they couldn't be fixed. In one story that stood out, an old woman brought in a music box that she had gotten from her grandmother. The wooden case was worn down from years of use, and the machinery was rusty. As Jay carefully cleaned, fixed, and polished the fragile item, he talked me through each step. The woman and many other people who saw it shed tears when the music box finally played its tune again. It made me think of the magic in keeping things alive, and the power of bringing back something that was thought to be lost. Fans also liked how the show showed off a lot of different crafters. Along with Jay, watchers saw people who were good at making ceramics, metalwork, leather, textiles, and clocks. Every show was a chance to honor old skills that are becoming less common these days. But Jay's part was different. He stood out as a kind of link between the workshop staff and the owners because he was easygoing and liked to get his hands dirty. Over the course of 7 years, many shows showed amazing changes, putting a broken Victorian dollhouse back to how it looked when it was new. A wedding dress that was torn and stained was brought back to life with careful sewing and love. People worked very hard to fix a broken family treasure clock so that it would tick again after decades of silence. There were more than just before and after stories here. These were stories about getting better, family history, and honoring the past. People often told their own stories that were based on the show. Stories about hidden riches in attics and family heirlooms that become important again after a long time. Jay and the rest of the team stood for the idea that broken things in life could also be fixed. There were also times when the show was funny and felt like a real family reunion. It was easier for people to understand the sometimes complicated repair work because Jay could make them laugh, be funny, and connect with them on a personal level. The show had a special heart when you saw him gently comfort worried owners or talk about the stories behind things. The Repair Shop became more than just a TV show because of times like these. It became an important part of the culture and a lesson of how important it is to work together to make something and how things can tell stories. Jay was a big part of that feeling. He became one of the show's biggest stars and became very famous. People often asked him to be on talk shows, events, and social media. However, fans loved these feel-good stories. But Jay's work was not as simple as they seemed. The Repair Shop was very successful because it gave off an image of friendliness and trust. But slowly that image was beginning to crack. In public, Jay seemed kind and skilled, but behind the scenes things were happening that not many people outside of Jay's close group could see. More and more interest. Jay Blades became more well-known as the service shop did. The show did well for more than just the skill. It was also about the people who did it, and Jay became one of the most well-known people in the world. People liked him on the show, on social media, and in the news in general because he was honest and had a nice face. Jay became very famous outside of the workshop. Fans liked both the way he fixed things and the story behind him. He was honest about how he overcame problems in his own life, like growing up in bad conditions and using his love of art to find meaning. People could relate to him more deeply because he was honest, which made his story one of strength and hope. The people who follow Jay on social media are very many. Fans praised his work, shared clips of funny moments, and loved how he made the show more positive. He seemed real and easy to talk to, which is hard to find in TV stars. As Jay's fame grew, he was often asked to be on talk shows and do interviews, which raised his image even more. But fame can be bad sometimes. It brought praise and new chances, but it also put a lot of pressure and attention on them, which wasn't always easy to handle. If you are a famous person, people will often see into your personal life. If you have problems, they can quickly become big news. Because of all the press, Jay's life was being watched very closely. Every move, word, and silence were carefully observed and thought over. For someone whose job depends on being friendly and open, this close scrutiny might feel intrusive and too much. This stress could be seen in some of Jay's social media posts. Fans also noticed that he wasn't posting as often and giving fewer updates. Then he said he was leaving social media for good, saying he needed to focus on personal things after a terrible family event. It was an abrupt break that made his fans worried, but they were polite and respected his privacy. Aside from this personal loss, other things had changed. Jay wasn't there when shooting for the new season of The Repair Shop started. For a show that depended on fans' favorite characters, his absence made people look twice. The BBC didn't say anything about it, which made the rumors stronger. Even though there was quiet, rumors began to spread. Some fans thought Jay was just taking a well-earned break, while others thought something more serious was going on behind the scenes. The show's producers also made some quiet changes, like taking out shows with Jay and changing the dates of planned tours and appearances. It was a tricky position. In some ways, Jay was a popular character, whose presence had helped make the show what it was, but the fact that there wasn't much known about him and that he hadn't been seen by the public suggested that there was more going on. Fans started to feel tense and unsure because of the difference between his public image and these new events. More problems came up because of the growing interest in stories. As more people made guesses, the media dug deeper and found information about Jay's personal life that hadn't been out before. This was the point where support and respect began to mix with anger and worry. People who had watched the show for years found it hard to connect the friendly, skilled worker they saw on TV with the sad news stories they were hearing. People had built confidence over time, but it was being tested in a way that no one saw coming. Jay's work, which had once been a great example of being positive and talented, was now at a turning point. There were a lot of questions and more attention on the person, which led to a shocking reveal that shocked both fans and the public. Cracks in the top layer. Most of the time, people know about changes that happen on TV, even on shows as warm and familiar as The Repair Shop.
People quickly notice if a well-liked character is missing or if the normally happy mood changes. And with Jay Blades, fans began to sense that something was changing behind the scenes, even though nothing public had been said. The first hint wasn't very clear. Jay had been a regular for 7 years, but all of a sudden he stopped showing up in new shows. It wasn't like they missed just 1 or 2 shows. There had been a long gap. This kind of disappearance from a famous show doesn't happen often, and fans were aware of it. At the same time, Jay's own social media sites stopped posting. They used to be full of friendly updates and craft tips. Then he said he was going to take a break from social media because his uncle had died, which was a personal family tragedy. People felt sorry for them after hearing this answer, but it also made them wonder. Someone or something was going on in Jay's personal life, but no one knew the whole story. There was more and more talk as the months went by. Older episodes of Jay's show were taken down from streaming services by the BBC, and the star didn't show up to any promotional events or planned trips. It was unusual for a star who was so important to the show to be pushed to the side in this way. People who work in the industry said there were big problems going on behind the scenes, but no public statement was made. Behind the cameras, people who were close to the production said things were tough. The team, which had worked with Jay for years, was said to be worried but kept quiet. Respecting privacy and the need to keep the show going at the same time was hard to do. At the same time, rumors started going around that Jay's personal life was tense. There were rumors that his wife was having problems, but nothing was proven. Fans who liked how open and positive Jay was found the silence disturbing. In the public's eyes, the sudden absence of Jay and his warm, friendly image were very different. Many people wondered what could have gone wrong for someone so well-liked to disappear from a show they helped create. The silence was broken when Jay's wife posted on social media that they were splitting up. This was the first clear sign that there were feelings of stress going on behind the scenes. It was a shocking moment for many fans. Now there were very real, very human problems mixed in with the happy picture of Jay helping people fix up family heirlooms. What really stopped Jay Blades' career? After years of wowing watchers with his skill and charm, Jay Blades' sudden disappearance from the repair shop shocked fans and made them wonder a lot of things. The real reason for his sudden break in the entertainment business is important and complicated, and it's not like a TV star quitting for no reason. It's not a good reason, but repair shop Jay Blades' career stopped. Reports came out that Jay was facing serious charges for controlling and aggressive behavior toward his estranged wife, which made things even worse. When the facts came out, they shocked both viewers and the media. The charges said that Jay's actions had a major effect on his partner and made her fear for her safety more than once. The people had come to think of him as kind and caring, but this story was very different from that. The irony was painful and hard to understand for a star whose job it was to fix broken things. As word got out, Jay was taken off the repair shop tour, and the BBC started to cut ties with him in public. People who used to know that face were no longer able to see it on TV, in movies, at public events or in the media. These are serious accusations, not just disagreements or private fights between people. The charges say that Jay's actions made her fear for her safety at least twice. Behavior that is controlling and forceful is illegal and shows patterns of controlling, intimidating, and emotionally abusing others in relationships. This news completely changed how people see Jay. He was seen as a figure of kindness and repair for many years. He helped bring broken things back to life, which meant that he stood for healing and hope. This picture of hope was tainted by unsettling claims that showed a very different picture when no one was there. It's important to know how bad things are. These charges aren't brought lightly and need to be carefully looked over by a lawyer. Even so, Jay pleaded not guilty to the charges and insisted he was innocent as the case went through Worcester Crown Court. His job was changed right away and couldn't be fixed. The court case was going on, and people were looking for answers. At the same time, the repair shop had to deal with the tough job of going forward without one of its most important people. For fans, this was even harder because the claims against Jay were very different from the Jay they saw on TV. It was always about faith, being honest, and getting back what was lost on the show. Now there was doubt about faith, and the story had changed a lot. The BBC moved quickly after the charges were made public. Streaming services took down episodes with Jay in them, and he was taken off the repair shop tour. His departure was no longer just a break or a quiet moment. Because the accusations were so serious, it was a clear reaction. For a show where the craftspeople and the families who bring in valuable heirlooms have to trust each other, it was not possible for that person to be there, facing those kinds of charges. The BBC and the production team had to keep the show's image safe, while also following the law. Jay didn't say much. It's time to say goodbye to all of my friends and supporters for good. There was more damage than just the screen. Fans were split. Many people had a hard time figuring out how to love the friendly, charismatic Jay while also being aware of the troubling claims that were making the news. Some people were shocked and upset, while others didn't say anything until the court system came to a decision. During this time, Jay's personal life also fell apart. Lisa, his estranged wife, told everyone that they were splitting up, proving that they were no longer together. The problems that were once hidden were now in the open, making people even more confused and sad. The most interesting thing about this story is how different Jay's public image is from the private problems that are now being looked at. The story was no longer just about making things and fixing them up. It was about messing up, mistakes, and what happens when you do that. This part of Jay's life shows that even famous people can have major problems in their personal lives. It also shows how quickly accusations like these can ruin a career that was looking good. When the repair shop lost Jay, they lost more than just a host. It meant giving up an important part of the show's heart. Both on screen and behind the scenes, it was hard to fill the void he left behind. The next steps in Jay's work are still unknown. The outcome of the case will have an impact on not only his personal life but also his public and professional image. With a prison sentence of up to 5 years, Jay could be found guilty and face serious effects. This would be the end of his time in the public eye for good. His job and relationships will be hurt for a long time, even if he is found not guilty. Once trust is lost, it's hard to get people to trust again, especially when abuse claims are made. What will happen next with Jay in the repair shop? People were shocked by the accusations, and Jay Blades left quickly. This made many people wonder what would happen to the repair shop. It was more than just casting changes that the show, which is known for its warmth, skill, and emotional stories, had to deal with. Without one of its most beloved stars, how could it go on? Fans had a range of reactions right away. Some people were crushed by the news. Jay had become a symbol of hope and kindness. He was a skilled artist, whose gentle personality and real passion moved people deeply. His disappearance made a hole that wasn't easy to fill. Fans were sad and confused on social media as they tried to make sense of the difference between the Jay they saw on TV and the serious charges that ended his career. That being said, the show has always been about restoring things, but also memories, feelings, and relationships. The main idea wasn't just about one person. The BBC and the production team knew this, so they moved quickly to make people feel better. The producers talked a lot about how strong and talented everyone on the team is, both behind the scenes and in front of the camera. There were a lot of experts who had been on the show for a long time and brought their own stories, skills, and characters to the barn in West Sussex. It was easy to understand. The repair shop would keep going, focused on the interesting jobs and stories that made it unique. In new episodes, old craftspeople came back and new ones came on to help the show move forward. Even though Jay wasn't there, the team's kindness and hard work helped keep the familiar vibe that fans loved. The focus went back to the emotional trips of the people who brought in heirlooms and how these things were turned back into treasures. Behind the scenes, the production team also had to find a way to talk to Jay about the problem while still following the rules for ongoing legal matters. Statements were carefully crafted to show that the charges were serious without making any assumptions about the case. This was done to stay silent until the courts made their decision. Professionals in the field said that these kinds of scandals really hurt shows that are about trust and friendship. But they also said that the repair shop had built a strong base that could handle losses. It wasn't just one star's performance that made it popular, it was the real-life stories and skilled production that spoke to people. As for Jay, the future is still unclear. The court case is still going on, and public opinion is split. The case had completely changed his public image and job prospects, no matter what the verdict was. At the same time, many of the show's fans changed them. Some stayed committed and hoped that Jay would come back one day, while others focused on helping the team get through this new phase. Fans talked about how the show might change without him in online forums and groups, remembering their favorite times and being cautiously optimistic. People also talked about how hard it is for public people and how important it is to talk about personal problems in public before they get worse. Many people were told that even though they are famous, celebrities have to deal with hard problems just like everyone else. The repair shop is more than just a TV show in the end. The complexity of life is shown in it. Broken and beautiful things, hope and hard times, healing and loss. It shows that even when things go wrong, there is still a chance to fix them. Today it's going on without one of its most recognizable faces. Should the show end without Jay at all? Share your thoughts below. Jay at all.